I've written a book about the McLennan County Courthouse's construction and the movement that led to its construction. The county in 1900 had a courthouse that only had one courtroom, and we had 2 district courts, and so there was a need for additional courts. This courthouse movement was led by the Young Men's Business League here in McLennan County, and they're the precursor organization to the Greater Waco Chamber of Commerce. And so they wanted good infrastructure and good services and good government services because they wanted Waco to be a city of industry and business and growth. The original plan had called for a fountain in the middle of the rotunda down here at the bottom. That was excluded by the county commissioners. They trimmed back the original plans. The original plans, of course, had rounded courtrooms for acoustic purposes and things like that. And so this is more the final sketch of what the courthouse turned out to be. And so part of that plan was to have a new courthouse built, put a new bridge across the Brazos River, and have a new train station built in Waco. And so the courthouse was kind of brought along with those other 2 projects, and a petition was circulated and signed by 1,500 voting and tax-paying citizens, and it was presented to the Commissioners Court. The Commissioners Court received it and set an election, a special election, to have the voters approve whether to issue bonds to build a new courthouse and bridge across the Brazos River. And a lot of people don't know, but our courtrooms, before they put the floors in the balconies, they had balconies and galleries, and people would sit up on the second floor and watch the trials as they were going on. When they built this 4-story building with the dome on top of it, all white limestone in downtown Waco, I mean, it must have just appeared to be a grand structure compared to everything else in downtown. The Alico building wasn't here when they built this. So the courthouse was clearly the tallest building in downtown Waco at the time. The election resulted in a 98% favorable vote in the city of Waco. If you exclude Waco, out in the county, the proposition failed, but the Waco vote was large enough that it carried the total election. And so as soon as the election was approved and the commissioners moved on and issued request for plans from architects to build the new courthouse. And they selected plan number 9. It was the 9th plan submitted to them, out of 10, and that's the title of the book. That's where the title of the book comes from. And so the architect that they approved for the construction of the courthouse was j-riely-gordon. He was out of Dallas and subsequently moved to New York City after completing this project here. The construction took several months, about a year and a half, and the courthouse was complete in October of 1902. The contractor was Tom Lovell, a contractor who had built several courthouses here in Texas, and he had in fact worked on the construction of the Texas State Capitol in Austin. And the Commissioners Court adopted a resolution designating the courthouse that we're in now as the courthouse for the county in October of 1902, and all county offices were moved into the courthouse at that time. A lot of my research came from microfilmed editions of the Waco Tribune-Herald that I reviewed at the Waco Public Library. And I also found old plans and diagrams for the courthouse in the county's archives. And then I wound up locating the paperwork or the drawings and sketches of the architect himself down at the University of Texas Architectural Archive in Austin. You know, in all my research, one of the most interesting things that might be characterized as a little different was that the eagles that surround the dome had illuminated eyes, and they were illuminated red, was my understanding. So the eagles at night, when you'd come by the courthouse, would have red eyes. And so that was one of the more interesting things. I've always had an interest in the courthouse since I was a young kid. My father served here for many years, and that sparked my interest. I always wanted to know what caused this courthouse to be built, who were the players that were involved in the construction of the courthouse. And so I began researching the topic several years ago, and initially did a bit of a PowerPoint or a slideshow type presentation. But I decided that, once you show that to a group of people, they see it and there's nothing tangible left behind. So I decided to self-publish a book about the movement that caused the courthouse to be built, and the construction itself, and the players who were involved in that. It probably took about a year from the time I started working on it, and then through revisions and edits, and then the printing process. I would say, I estimate about a year.